Hey guys, Cronus Falls here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a video on Jareg. Now, there is a 10-time summon event for him right now out of Ancient and Sacred Shards. So go ahead and look at that right here. It's going on for another 14 hours. And for anyone who doesn't have an attack down champion, Jareg is definitely a great one. I'm not sure I would suggest pulling your shards for him necessarily because he's not an overall account changer, but he is definitely good. So we'll go ahead and get into them right now. And I'll pull mine up right here. So I have him built for Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss at the moment, and we'll go into the build. So I have him in Defense % Gloves, a Defense % Chest, Speed Boots, a Defense Ring, a Defense Amulet, and a Defense Banner. Now this is very important for Jareg. His base defense is not very high, 1057. So it can be very difficult to get him to a defense level that's good for Ultra Nightmare. As you can see here, I only have him at a little under 3600, which is pretty low. I would like to move these into 6-star pieces potentially. I would also like to get him out of Speed Boots. That would definitely help, but since I am running a speed comp, that's definitely not a possibility at the moment. But anyways, as I said, Jareg, he provides a lot of utility for Clan Boss. So he comes in here with his A1 that attacks one enemy with a 35% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Now this books up to a 50% chance, which is nice, and a 55% chance if you get the Sniper Mastery, which we'll go over in a minute here. He also brings this Pack Leader ability. This places a 50% ally protection and a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. So this is a very strong utility move. It brings ally protection and increased defense, which are both very nice for Clan Boss. And then he also brings this passive Sheltering Scales. Places a 15% continuous heal buff on an ally for 1 turn whenever an ally loses 20% of their max HP in 1 hit. So this brings a lot of healing to you in Clan Boss. It is just 1 turn, so I mean it's not huge, but if you're taking 20% of your damage and healing for 15%, that's pretty good. Considering I think 2 or 3 members of my team, 3 members of my team are not in lifesteal, this does come in very helpful. He also has an aura here, increase ally HP in all battles by 33%, which is pretty good. Not quite as good as a defense aura, but still really solid. So as you can see in the build here, I have him at 215 accuracy. This is very important to place his decreased attack debuff, which is probably the most important part of his kit for Clan Boss. Speed, I have him at 201. So like I said, I run a speed team. I want him going as fast as possible, so I would like to bump this up eventually, as well as his defense. And he is an HP champion, but I don't have his HP super high, so it's only about 40k. Now Masteries, so we want to come down to War Master like usual for Clan Boss. So we're going crit rate, crit damage, and down here to War Master. And then in support, we're taking accuracy. I took Exalted Death. You don't really need that from him. I just needed to take something else here. So I wanted to get over here to Rapid Response, which has a 30% chance of increasing the turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion removes or is expired. And then also Arcane Celerity, which can increase turn meter by 10% when a debuff cast on this champion is removed or expires. So if his attack down goes off, I have a 30% chance to increase my turn meter. When his shields and ally protection go off, I have a chance to increase turn meter. And that's very nice for a speed team. Obviously for a counterattack speed tune team, you definitely would not want these masteries. But then I have Lore of Steel, and that's just going to help me get a little bit more accuracy on him, I think is what I'm running. Evil Eye, this is for other content, just allowing him to knock down some turn meter. Jareg isn't super helpful in other content, but I will show you him in a couple of dungeons, so this could come in handy. We also have Sniper, increase the chances of placing any debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. So that just makes his attack down a little bit more consistent. I used to have him in Lasting Gifts instead of Master Hexer, but honestly, he's way more consistent with the attack down with Master Hexer, so I did have to switch it over to that. So that's the Masteries, guys. This is made specifically for Clan Boss, but that is where he's best. So that is what I would recommend. If you do have a counterattack team though, remember you do not want these turn meter increasing masteries. So let's go ahead and get into some dungeon content here. So he doesn't bring a whole lot to dungeons as far as Spider and Fire Knight go, especially. He really doesn't do much. I suppose he could help keep your team alive a little bit, but he only has a one-hit A1 and doesn't do anything with turn meter. He would probably be a little bit better in Spider just to help keep you alive, but he's not going to do the job well enough. So I'm going to be bringing him into Ice Golem and Dragon Slayer today, where he can actually do some work. So we're going to come in here, and the team I've got set up here is kind of a little bit different than what I would normally recommend to be most consistent. But if you do not have a champion who can provide you with some AoE CC, then Jareg can come in here and just kind of help sustain your team a little bit, keep them alive. And then normally you might run a Poisoner here, but I wanted to show that I usually use Rotos in my team, but Armiger is kind of like a poor man's Rotos, so I'm going to be bringing him in here to perform that job. And so he can block revive, decrease turn meter, so he's a little bit of CC there as well. So you'll see that in the fight. And then Apothecary here to speed us up and heal us. Reliquary Tenders here to revive and to cleanse debuffs. And we've got Stag Knight coming in for our AoE decreased defense and attack. So let's go ahead and get into this. So this definitely isn't going to net you the fastest run possible. Jareg really doesn't do any damage, especially the way I've got him built. But he's just here to keep us alive and going. And I don't think he'll be able to completely do it because unfortunately that skill is on a 3-turn cooldown, I believe. So it will have some downtime. But that's why Reliquary Tender is here. So if our Armiger does happen to go down, she can bring him back up. We do have a lot of healing here between Jareg and Reliquary Tender, as well as Apothecary with the spot heals. So we should be looking alright. So I think we're going to get through this wave probably at about the 1 minute to 1 minute 15 mark. And like I said, we're not speed running it here. These champs do tend to take a little bit longer to clear in the waves just because they block debuffs. So if you can't have your decreased defense on them, then they do take a little while to take down. So yeah, I think we're going to be hitting that 1 minute 15 here in just a second. But as you can see, our team's still looking perfectly healthy here. And we're moving along. So this wave is where we are most likely to go down in this fight just because of the reflect damage. But since we do not have a bunch of AoE damage here, we're not too worried about that. We got Reliquary Tender coming in there clearing us up, but unfortunately Armiger did go down. So that's why it's important to have someone like her in here that can revive us. He should be coming up right now. And the Apothecary's got him looking good again. He does take another Shriek. And one of them is down. Armiger takes another stun. But he is a defense-based champion, so you know he can take a couple hits, whereas someone like a Kale or something who was built for attack would definitely just go down right there. And he's down again due to the reflect damage. So like I said, this is a dangerous part of the run. If you don't have a Reser, then you can definitely be in danger here. Because the ally protection I don't think actually helps you against reflect damage. So yeah, you definitely would prefer to have an AoE CC champion here. Jareg can do it though, so that's just what I kind of wanted to show you here. I don't recommend this strategy per se. But as you can see, now we're making our way through these ads here. Armiger's keeping this one's turn meter down, so we're not going to be getting any sort of heal reduction, which is nice. And then once we do get the AoE decreased defense, Reliquary Tender can usually clear it off before we take a bunch of damage. And now this guy's not going to get to take a turn. And Jareg's got some defense up and some ally protections, just helping us not take as much damage. And this would work faster, probably actually, if my team wasn't so quick as far as his protection going. But since everyone is around 200 speed with Apothecary speeding them up, it does tend to fall off a little bit faster. The enemy doesn't get to take as many turns, but that's a good thing. We don't want them hitting us as much, even if it means that we don't always have the increased defense and ally protection up. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end of this fight here. Like I said, it's not going to be quick, but I don't think we're in any danger of losing, so I'll come back in at the end and see how we've done. Alrighty, so we're coming up at the end of the fight here, and as you can see, Armiger managed to block this guy's revive, so we're looking pretty good. Our team's looking healthy, and we should be able to take him down right here at the 6-minute mark. So definitely not a fast run, but if you're working on getting your Arbiter missions done, this can definitely get you through it. So let's go ahead and take a look at Dragon. Now Dragon, as we come over here, is going to be magic affinity. So we're going to come in here. We don't want to bring in Stagnite, so I'll be bringing in Tyrell as my AoE decreased defense. You could also use a War Maiden here. That'd be perfectly fine. I just don't have one leveled up. But as you can see, the team's very similar. I'm going to be coming in here with Jareg as our lead, just to help keep us healthy. And then we've got Apothecary Speed, Reliquary Tender Revive. We're going to use Frozen Banshee as a poisoner in this case. I could use Kale as well, but I would like to switch it up a little bit between videos. And like I said, AoE decreased defense in Tyrell. So let's go ahead and run this here. Alrighty, so we're coming in here. We've got Apothecary with the speed boost and Jareg throwing up that increased defense. Now, unfortunately with this team, my champions are a little bit high on speed, so Jareg doesn't get his full utility here, because as you saw, the increased defense and ally protection fell off before they got to take a turn. Luckily, we have Reliquary Tender in here to bring him back, or bring her back rather, but he would actually be getting a lot more utility if our champions were closer to like 150 speed. Which is probably more reasonable for someone who's making their way up through Dragon 20. That being said though, we shouldn't have any trouble completing this run because we do have a good setup here. The one thing we are definitely missing is some good damage dealers. Tyrell is alright, but he's using his AoE only on a 4-turn cooldown. And I don't have him built for crit or anything like that. As you can see, Frozen Banshee's taking significantly less damage with this buff on her. So we're going to be getting through these waves, not very quickly at all. We're probably going to be looking at about 1:15 on this one here. And we're down to the Horden and, was that a Bombardier? No, Bombardier's red, I think. Whatever he is. So this wave is done. Going to be moving on here at about 1:30 it looks like actually. So we'll probably be looking at a little over a 4-minute run overall. But second wave is just more of the same. So Jareg should be able to come around here and give us that increased defense, but not before she starts taking all these hits. And they are asleep. There we go. So we see there she didn't take hardly any damage from that, and that's because Jareg's increased defense as well as ally protection really mitigates the amount of damage that she's going to take. And that's definitely important so if you're bringing in someone like a Kale or something, because my Frozen Banshee, she comes into my Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss team with me, so her defense is pretty high. I think she's rocking about 3,800, somewhere around there. So if you're bringing in a Kale, who's, especially if he's built as like a campaign farmer or something like that, he will be going down to those Horden attacks. So first of all, having a reviver like Reliquary Tinder is very important. And if you don't have an AoE CC champion, then Jareg can come in and kind of help you fill that role. He's definitely not doing as good a job as, say, a Miscreated Monster or a Greybeard or something like that would be doing at keeping us alive. But he's doing alright. And he does provide healing as well, so that is handy. So yeah, we're coming up at the end of this wave here. We're probably going to be slightly over 3 minutes, it looks like. See, he took like nothing right there from that Tyrell. And that's what Jareg brings for us. So we're on to the Dragon now, and this is where things are going to speed up a little bit. Jareg's done all of his utility pretty much, so now he's just here to kick in a little bit more damage and enjoy the ride as Frozen Banshee helps us to work through those poisons and tick down that meter. So there we go, we're not taking that attack. We've got the decreased attack from Jareg. Tyrell also does bring that though. And so the Dragon, when he does get a turn, isn't going to be doing very much to us. And the poisons are just ticking away, so we're going to be looking at right about a 4-minute run, it looks like. Alright, we're on to the last inhale now, and we've got a couple poisons up. We're about to get a couple more, so that should tick him down and probably kill him, I would imagine. We'll be right at the 4 minutes, 3:57, perfect. That is a good piece, I'll definitely be keeping that. Alrighty, so that is what Jareg can do for you in Dragon. Not super useful, definitely could be better replaced by an AoE CC champion, but he can do alright to carry you through. So now we're going to be going on to Clan Boss, which is what Jareg is definitely well known for. So I'm going to be bringing you into an Ultra Nightmare run here. And as you can see, my first run today did 16.43 million. So that's a little bit under a 4-key territory. But right now, I've just been running it on auto because I've been helping my clan clear Nightmare a little bit better. So let's go ahead and go in here. I've done 1 key on Nightmare today with this team, and it was 28.38 million. So easily a 2 key on auto on Nightmare. We're going to go into Ultra Nightmare here and see how it goes. So go ahead and take it off auto. So we've got the speed boost there from Arbiter. So we're going to come in. We're not going to speed boost with Apothecary yet because we do not want to be speed boosting while their turn meters are full. That way we're getting the most value out of it. And now that they're lower, we can come through, get some turn meter from her, get some turn meter from Apothecary. We're going to try and get that attack down again. Come on, Jareg. Really letting me down here. Gonna get that going from Banshee, and the reason I didn't do it on the first turn is because he was about to take a turn, so it would have completely negated 1 turn of the poison sensitivity before we even got to put on any poisons. So now we'll be able to rotate them a little bit better. We're still not going to get it before he goes again, but that's okay. So with Rotos, he's taking a bunch of turns here. We're just maxing his HP out. And eventually, we will start using the increased defense and ally protection from Jareg. And there we go, there's the decreased attack, so that's what he's in here for. He's not the most consistent champion for it. Tyrell definitely does it better, but he brings so much more utility, and since I already have a decreased defense in Rotos, he's definitely the better call for my team. So we're going to go ahead and keep going here. We'll throw on some poisons from Frozen Banshee. And this is basically it until we get later on in the fight. We're going to be putting up that increased defense and ally protect. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead, and we will get in towards the end of the fight to see how it's going. Alrighty, so we're getting closer to the end of the fight here. On Ultra Nightmare, they don't tend to last too long for this team currently, but this is where we're going to be starting to use the increased defense and ally protection. So you'll see here as he comes through, we're going to be taking a single hit on Arbiter here, and we definitely do not want her to go down, so this is going to help us. Boom, she hardly took any damage there. And this helps a lot with the AoE attacks as well, since those do tend to hit harder. But it is very important for keeping my team alive. That's why I've switched to using Jareg over Tyrell, because he just does a better job at sustaining my team and helping me last longer into this fight. So yeah, we're pretty close to the end. As you can see, we're taking big hits, but Jareg also gives us this healing, which is very nice to go along with it. And we're going to go ahead and save Arbiter's revive here because we do not want her to waste that while everyone is still up. Let's see, we still have the poison sensitivity, so we can get a little more of that going. Heal up Apothecary here. Massive hits from the clan boss. So we're going to be coming in again to a time where he's going to be doing a single target hit, and I'm actually not going to use his increased defense yet, just because that does not hit as hard. So I think our people will be able to tank it just fine, and we'll go ahead and save that for when he's going to be doing an AoE. So yeah, go ahead and save that, and that's going to come down on Arbiter right now. Boom, she's okay. So now we can keep going. We're going to go ahead and throw this up now. That way when he comes back around, we will be protected, and just keep going here. Heal up the Arbiter. And we are looking pretty good. So obviously this is a lot slower going on manual. Normally I last probably about 4.5 minutes, but this is going to definitely tick on longer. And that is okay. That just means we're doing more damage since I'm coming in here and manualing it. Jareg has dropped the attack down, as you notice, which is typically how you can die. So if he hadn't hit it right there on his 60% chance, then we would have probably wiped. But that is the risky run coming in with him. Alright, so Arbiter is still alive, which means that we can come through and pick up Apothecary, which is nice, and then we'll get that speed boost going as well with some heals. Get some more poisons rocking, get some increased defense, and that's the level of sustain I'm talking about. Unfortunately, with Rotos taking extra turns, he does wear it off, but he has so much HP that he's usually okay. Like, see, he just took that attack with no increased defense and perfectly fine, didn't even bring him down to half health. We just keep it moving. We got 2 turns left on the revive, so we just need to last that long. Apothecary is down again. We've got 1 turn left on the revive after this one. Not going to go ahead and use that yet, just because I want to be able to use it after we bring Apothecary back. And I just have to hope that Arbiter can survive that long. But if not, we're pretty much at the end of our run anyway, so it's not going to make a huge difference. And oh, the poison. Alright, well there it is, guys. 17.2 million damage. I don't think that is quite a 4 key on Nightmare, but if I had manualed the whole thing, it would be over 18 and definitely would be. So as you can see, Jareg is definitely end-game viable. If my team had better gear, I think I could be easily 4 keying this on auto. Maybe even 3 keying if I was doing it on manual. But that's the kind of utility Jareg brings. So again, it is a 10 times summon for him right now. I would not suggest pulling your shards outside of a 2 times event, especially since he's just an option you could get during that time, and you'll be pulling a lot of other epics and possibly legendaries as well into 2 times. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and make sure to comment any future content you would like to see me make, and thanks.